Okay, so it is time to prune a double tree, or 2 in 1. That's coming up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today. It's the beginning of February, and we are just about done with pruning. In fact, this is the last tree that we have to get pruned before we roll into spring. This is a tree you've seen before. In fact, I'm going to link the video here when this was nice and green this summer, but this is one of our double plantings. Specifically, this is a combination of a piacatum, I'll talk about that in a sec, and it's a pluot on this side. So we actually technically have 5 varieties in one, but it's a double planting. So the piacatum is a peach apricot plum hybrid, so it's a combination of those 3. And the pluot's a flavored grenade pluot. It's a green pluot, which is a plum apricot hybrid. So we're not really talking too much about that. What we are talking about today is how we're going to prune this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and link our pruning series here, where we've been talking about our focus this year on how and why we're doing the different types of pruning that we're doing. So one of the things that we're focusing on this season is obviously making sure we have healthy trees. So we're taking out branches that are crossing, branches that are growing down into the ground. So we're definitely going to concentrate on that with this tree. There's several of them. In fact, if Lori wants to slide in, I'll kind of show you one that's real obvious. So you can see this here. We've got this branch that's crossing and actually doing damage to this branch here. So we've talked about it before. We don't have much here in the way of issues with fungus and that type of thing, but we want to make sure that we don't. So we're just not taking any chances. So we're going to lose one of these 2 branches once we get into there. Really low hanging branches, so branches that are low, pointing down towards the ground, that can't support fruit production. Those are going to come out. These particular trees, I do like to keep them open in the center because your plum, peaches, etc. Do really well when they can get even ripening from that sunlight down in the middle of the canopy, essentially. So we'll be doing that. And then the tree itself. So like we've been discussing, what we're trying to do is keep a tree that actually is very aesthetically pleasing, because of course we're going to be selling this property, moving on to our 6 acres. So we want to make sure that it's actually a really good looking tree. So I think what Lori and I are going to focus on, what you guys will watch us do, is go through and make this just a really nice balanced tree and kind of make it look like it's almost one tree as opposed to 2 separate trees. So that's kind of our goal, but that's the goal for now. So why don't you follow along while we prune this guy. Okay, so that's it. We have this double planting pruned. So kind of get an idea of how we look at the trees. So, you know, Lori and I work together as a team. I like to think we're a good team. But we work together to kind of balance the trees out as best we can. One other thing too, I'm not sure whether I've mentioned in any of the prior videos, but we have this little Rubbermaid cart that we use for putting all of our cuttings into. So it's really easy to keep it clean as you're working on the ground. You know, tripping on sticks that are on the ground, no fun. Been there, done that, no thanks. So we keep that next to us and make sure we keep everything clean as we're working. It also helps me to really kind of see how the tree is gonna turn out. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. Both of these trees grow very, very aggressively. So I'm not really too worried about them filling in. They'll definitely fill in the center. But you can see, if Lori can pick it up, we've really, again, tried to look at this as one single tree. So I've got a bowl that forms inside the middle middle, which typically we would have these types of trees pruned to anyway. So I have that open in the middle, everything cleared out of the bottom, all of our crossing branches are gone. I didn't do anything as far as topping. When you saw me making cuts here, this was just because we're actually in our pathway between our orchard rows. So I want to make sure that's not pushing into somebody's face as they're trying to walk down this row. So I did bring those back just a little bit just to get them out of the row, but I kept the height itself. So normally I would probably bring that down just a little bit, but most people I'm thinking are probably going to want a nice big beautiful tree. It's one of the things that's a focal point when you're sitting on the patio looking out at the property. So I wanted that to look nice, but overall that's really kind of what we were looking for, is just what we have here. So just want to thank you for joining us today. You know what, if you haven't done so already, hey, subscribe to the channel. You know, we cover a lot of things here. One of the things that we cover in depth is fruit trees. We have a lot of experience with that. So covering a series that we're just now wrapping up on pruning because it's the middle of winter, but we spend a lot of time on fruit trees. You know, we also raise livestock, chickens and pigs. So if you're into that, this is a good spot for you. And we're also going to be moving from this 1 acre property to our 6 acre property. I'm going to link that series here for you so you can follow along there as we go from bare desert ground to a functioning farm. So we'd love it if you would join us. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. And before I forget, Instagram and Facebook, if you're not following us there, we'd love to see you there as well. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. One of the things that I'm focusing on, hush! Oh my goodness, they're so loud. That's our hens in the background, cackling loudly. Okay, so just what? Yeah, you're